Hey everyone, this is Don Stanley with the PPA, and I wanted to put out a video rather than typing until the skin comes off my thumbs on Facebook, explaining the whole issue and rationale behind the improper reserve rule that we instituted earlier this year. And so here it goes. It's the full-blown story, and I hope it's helpful. So let's talk about the issue of calling the three serve criteria. Paddle head above the wrist, upward arc, no contact above the waist. Those are the three criteria when it comes to the serving motion that are a fault. And if it's violated, it's a fault. Well, I want to say that those have so much subjectivity. And yes, a lot of rules in question have subjectivity. Everything a ref does is a judgment call, so to speak. But some rules are very subjective and have a wide range of subjectivity, which means players cannot expect any consistency. Okay, so you've heard this. Let's back up. What used to be was the receiver would say, "Hey ref, come on, that serve's illegal. Come on ref, that serve's illegal." Then it starts putting pressure on the ref to call it illegal. Then if the ref does call it illegal, the server thinks the receiver talked them into it. So there's all these tensions on the court about this, and the protocol was maybe go get a second ref to come and watch your match and see if you think somebody's serve is illegal. That was an ongoing problem, okay? Especially when you look at the subjectivity. Let's just talk about paddle contact, ball contact, not above the waist. I have done this at several tournaments with the referees. I would have somebody stand there, and I would start raising my hand up the side of their body, okay? Start at their thigh and raise it. And I would have the refs, all of them, hold up their fist and start raising their fingers as to when they think it's high enough to call an illegal serve, okay? And sometimes it was 7 or 8 inches difference in how refs would call a serve illegal, all right, and a fault. That's way too inconsistent, and no way players can expect consistency from us. Another case in point was a match this year in Florida. A pro female player playing singles had 2-ref system. The lead ref called 1 improper reserve on the player. Okay, we get back to the ref tent. The second ref, a very competent ref, said, I would have called 50 of her serves illegal, okay, or improper, and a reserve. Folks, it just goes to show you there's no consistency to give players when there is such a wide range of subjectivity. So because of this, we wanted to institute, I did, quite frankly, I come up with the idea, rather than it being a penalty, punishing penalty such as a fault, let's have it be a reserve, okay? It's really before the rally gets started, okay? It's not like we're way into it. It's really at the start of the rally. It's so subjective. It takes the pressure. A lot of refs used to say what I said. Said, look, I'm not going to call a fault on it until it's blatant, okay? So we instituted, let's do a reserve if you think any one of the 3 criteria, quite frankly, if they're even close, let's call a reserve, okay? It took the pressure off the ref. It removed these situations. I think it has virtually removed. We've been doing this for almost a year now. It virtually has removed this tension that comes in when the receiver thinks you're not calling a fault on the serve, and then the ref does it. It's removed all of those. It has not been a big deal. We've had to call reserves a few times throughout the year. Okay. The most we have ever had to call it in one match, an entire match, was 2 times on one server. We have found that when you call it and you have them reserve and you say, hang on, improper, little too high, no upward arc, paddle head above your wrist, it cleans it up. It cleans it up. It's not been an issue. So I want to jump sideways for just a moment and say, when I see comments on Facebook that say, you mean the server can unlimited just do reserves until they keep getting reserves unlimited? Folks, it's short-sighted thinking, okay? Number one, why do you think a server is going to keep on reserving and serve illegally and have to keep reserving? They won't score a point if they do that, okay? In reality, we've never had to call it more than 2 times on a player, and it has always fixed the problem. Now, we're going to talk about what happened Thursday at singles, okay? So that's why we instituted it. It's not been a big deal. It has freed up referees if they think it's even close. I still to this day have referees come and say, hey, I want you to come and look at so-and-so serve. To me, it's all close to illegal. And I tell them, you don't need me to come look at it. Heck, if you think it's even close, just call a reserve. It's not a big deal. It has removed so much tension and drama from the matches and lets the players play ball, okay? So let's talk about what happened Thursday at the PPA event Takea with the singles match. A good point, a valid point was brought to light in that the server served and the referee called it improper, and it happened to land out, okay? And the referee, as instructed, called a reserve. That was by design. That's always been the rule. It's always been the way we've implemented it, because technically the moment the ball struck the paddle is when the improperness of the serve happened, and then the ref would call it, and then it would be a reserve. There is also precedent for that principle to happen in the rule when you call a hinder, right? Let's say you go and right as you're about to hit a lob or a smash, the opponent calls ball on, and there's a ball rolling on the court, okay? Or let's say my partner calls ball right as I hit a lob, okay? It doesn't matter where the ball lands, in or out. The moment the player said ball, the play was dead, and you freeze frame the ball right there, and it doesn't matter where it lands, in or out. So the same principle was used on the serve. The moment it is improper, the ref will call improper, and it's going to be a reserve. The issue came to light, like I said, Thursday at Takea, where the serve landed out, okay? And that can seem to be a flaw in the principle and the rule. There's a strong debate to that, okay? We are going to implement that the referee, if they believe the serve is improper, they will wait to see if the ball lands in. Almost treat it like what we used to do, let serves, okay? If the ball lands in the proper receiving court, the ref will say, improper, too high, we're going to reserve that, okay? Same as we've been doing, just going to let it land first. If the ball does happen to land out of bounds or into the net or short into the NVZ, the referee would just call a fault. And that's the first time this whole year that has ever come up, and I do believe there's a valid argument to support that. It should be a fault if it doesn't land in the proper service court. So that is the explanation of where it came from, where it started. I can guarantee you it has cut down. I haven't been called to the court once with the receiver claiming that the serve's illegal and the ref's not calling it, because it just doesn't happen anymore, other than what happened Thursday night. So that's the rationale behind it. Again, these things about Facebook, well, you're going to let the server just keep serving and keep serving, replay forever. No, folks, it doesn't happen. It just hasn't happened out here in the real world. It only happens on Facebook world is where this is an issue. Another argument I hear is, well, what keeps the server from just keep pushing the envelope? Well, when you say push the envelope, what are they trying to do? Get their serve to be an ace? If that's the case, if it's improper, then the referee, once it lands in, will call a reserve if they violate the criteria, okay? I also think that next year, I'm pretty sure there's a rule where USA Pickleball has, I believe, last I heard, you can call a reserve once, but if it's flagrantly abusive and flagrantly bad, you can go ahead and call a fault. I have a concern that that's also going to lead to, now we've just moved that judgment zone from here's illegal or improper, but now here's flagrant. What one ref may consider flagrant, another ref won't. So we'll see how that works out. I do think it's not a bad rule to go with, though. So anyway, that's the explanation. Feel free to comment on it. I could just say this. We've done this for almost a year now. We've never had to call it a reserve in a match more than 2 times. And up until Thursday, it brought to light the fact, what if the serve goes out? And there's strong debate on each side on that. That's what we're going to do. I hope this video is helpful, and thank you for listening.